Okay guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. So, hello, part 2. Hofner bass is now at a point where I can say it's fairly clean. The majority of the hardware, well, nearly all of the hardware, majority of the hardware is removed. The fretboard has had years of gunk scraped from it. There's the remnants of that here. So that's good. Once that's oiled and waxed, that's going to be a really nice, dark and smooth, clean board again. As I said, everything's been cleaned up, so all of the dust and all of the gunk is wiped away with like a non-aggressive, eco-friendly spray that I like to use. All of the hardware and metals are in this tray, this nice Japanese sushi tray that I've got. And that's going to go into a box with acid fumes all around it. So like a couple of cups of acid are in this box. And it's going to basically, is the word fumigate, create the fumes of acid, which will kind of envelop the metals and just deteriorate the surface of them ever so slightly. What I'm also going to do with those metals is just dab some of the acid directly on. For maybe around 20 minutes it will be on there before I wash it off. I'll do the same with the humbucking pickups. There'll be some basically some like look of rust around the screws. It's quite important look in relicking because an old guitar would have gone through many different climates and weathers, and it will have moisture and sweat, and rust will happen, and it will just become a part of the look. The only issue that I've had really is I can't find any information as to how to remove the pickups from the body. So what I've decided is just to save time is to relic around that, and basically I'll be using sponges and different grades of sandpaper here, like 400 on the headstock to remove the decal, and then build up to 600, 800, 1200, 1500, 2000, that kind of thing. I'll be doing the same to the plastics, like the scratch plate. I'm going to start by smoothing everything down to a nice, this is really reflective, smoothing everything down to like a nice 400 kind of matte look, and then building it back up in places. But before I build it back up, I'm going to spray it with some vintage amber tinted nitrocellulose, and then wear that back with wire wool, and then build up buffing and higher grades of sandpaper. You can see here also the headstock cover is quite, I don't know, somebody's had some scratchy time with it. We'll be sorting that out as well, get that looking nice and not shiny, but it's a satin, with a satin kind of glow. I think that the majority of old guitars, they won't look glossy. They might do if they've been rebuffed and buffed by the same owner over and over again, as it does happen. But the majority of playing guitars that are very old have a satin sheen. They don't have a really high gloss finish. That high gloss finish is sort of worn away into people's elbows and armpits and chins and their sweats of various areas. So that's what I'll be doing after that. I'll be using basically 1500 grit sandpaper, warm soapy water, and I'll just be pulling back some of the lacquer. And what I'm going to do also at the same time is wear away where I want wear and tear to be. Now I can't show you because I can't use editing software on this on my phone in this way, but maybe one day I'll upgrade all of that kind of stuff. But there's basically an image that I'm working to that my client Joe wants his bass to look like. And as I said in the previous video, there's decals coming and there's other stuff that we're going to do to the guitar, but the wear and tear is going to match that of, I think it's the original Paul McCartney bass that I'm basing it on. And that will start with the sandpaper stage, yes. And I'll also be using blades around that time to scratch away streaks of lacquer, paint, colour, what you might call it, depending on the area, whether it's sort of see-through or whether it's dark, like the edges here and stuff like that. It will be scraped away and then sandpapered, and again I'll build up the sandpaper grits to the higher levels before I do some like hand buffing and polishing, and that's how you get that kind of worn in but really smooth and really rubbed back kind of old guitar look. Before I do any more of that though, I'm going to get the metals in the box of acid for maybe an hour or two, and towards the end of that I'm going to dab bits of them with the acid directly with a cotton wool bud. That's about it. I'm going to use the Dremel tool, various different things. You can see the back of the headstock here. It's a big chunk in the top corner taken away, and there's other chunks here on the side noticeably. There's nothing I can do about that. I could do spot filling and basically correct it to like a sort of more of an original look before it was damaged, but seeing as we're going to damage so much of the rest of the guitar, and to bring it to that look of 60s or mid 60s aged guitar, there's not really that much point, so I'll just incorporate it into the look. I'll be using a Dremel tool to remove chunks here and there of the lacquer. It's pretty scary when you think like this is an expensive instrument, but at the same time it's what the customer wants and it's gonna look awesome. So I'll see you guys like probably around that stage because it's quite fun.